Hey everyone, this is a hands-on with the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. So I have on me here the Pro, but I also got the chance to play with the standard Mate 10 a couple of days ago, and both phones look kind of similar from the front, except the standard Mate 10 has a traditional 16:9 aspect ratio, whereas the Pro has that longer 18:9 aspect ratio that's pioneered by LG and Samsung. So bezels on both phones are very slim, despite the standard Mate 10 having a fingerprint reader on the bottom bezel, so that's quite impressive. The back of the phones are almost identical, except obviously the Pro has a fingerprint reader on the back. You have two cameras, again, two Leica lens. I think same megapixel count as last year's Mate 9. It's a 20 megapixel monochrome lens and a 12 megapixel color lens that combine to take photos with strong lighting. But this year, the camera aperture has been improved to f1.6, so the Mate 10 should be able to take great low light photos. So even though I have the phone on me, Huawei has a lot of rules, so I was not able to get a lot of photo samples, but I did get to test a little bit. So on the Pro, it's a 6-inch OLED display. That's beautiful, gorgeous to look at. On the standard edition, you have a 5.9-inch LCD panel. As far as memory, you get either 4 gigs or 6 gigs of RAM depending on the variant you have, and for the first time ever, these phones are IP67 water and dust resistant. So obviously, the Huawei Mate 10 ticks every box in terms of looks. Like this phone, you can put it next to a Galaxy Note 8 or LG V30 and it wouldn't look out of place. But it's not about the looks this year for Huawei. This year, it's about what's on the inside that counts. That's because the Huawei Mate 10 and the Mate 10 Pro runs Kirin 970, Huawei's own chipset that, if you follow smartphone news, you already know it's the first mobile chipset to have a dedicated NPU, which is a neural processing unit. Now, if you're not too familiar with what an NPU is, it's basically like a CPU or GPU, but much more powerful because it's built to handle a lot more data. Because of the name neural, that implies that it can feel. So an NPU has cores that are dedicated to AI. So how Huawei explained it to me is on standard CPU and GPU phones, the AI on that phone has to be reactive. It only reacts to what you do, and plus you have to go to the internet, the cloud, to do all of that. But on an NPU, the AI is actually inside the phone, so that means it's always working, it's proactive, and also is a lot faster because you don't have to go through the clouds. So now on the China version of the Mate 10 or Mate 10 Pro, China version has its own voice system called a Huawei Hi Voice, I think. So with that, you can actually use the Hi Voice without internet connection because the AI is inside the chip. Unfortunately, for the rest of us who don't live in China, we use Google Assistant, and Google Assistant still requires an internet connection. But Huawei tells me it's actually working with Google to improve Google Assistant and perhaps potentially to be able to make Google Assistant work without internet connection. So we have reason to trust that Huawei is actually working with Google closely because the Mate 10 and the Mate 10 Pro runs Android 8.0. This is the first smartphone other than a Pixel device to get Android Oreo. But you can't really tell just looking at the phone right now because it has an Android skin over it, Huawei's own skin, Emui 8.0. But you do see that you get the little icon notification that you get an Android Oreo. And Emui 8.0 looks good. I like the black and blue color scheme on the notification shade. And you are able to add an app tray if you want, so it's quite a pleasant experience. And on the buttons, you can add a button to bring down a notification shade. And there's a one-hand mode. Everything's very useful. I like EMUI. So Huawei is calling this a real AI phone. So what makes it so smart? It's an intelligent phone. Well, in addition to having potentially voice assistant that can work without internet, the camera is super smart. The camera knows what it's looking at. Let me give you a quick test right now. So when you open the camera app and I'm pointing at it, you see this little plant icon? That's because the phone knows it's pointing at a plant. And this actually works for a bunch of things. I tried this outside earlier. When I point it at a human, it shows a human icon. When I point it at a sky, it knows it's looking at a sky. When I point it at a street sign, it knows it's looking at text. And then when I point it at when I move the camera from a plant to a flower, it knows it's looking at a flower. It even knows it's looking at a cat. How cool is that? So you might be asking, what's the point of a camera knowing what it's looking at? Well, Huawei tells me that this means the camera can produce better photos. Because for example, if I'm taking a picture of food, it can recognize food too, by the way. The camera will maybe display punchier colors, because you know, if you're taking a picture of a bowl of bibimbap or spaghetti, you want the red to really pop. And if you're taking a picture of a cat, you might want the camera to focus on the fine details of the fur, and that's what Huawei says the camera can do. So long story short, the AI helps the camera knows what it's doing to produce the best shot. So Huawei also gave me an example that if I'm shooting a sport or someone running, the camera will know to maybe go with a faster shutter speed to capture less blur of the person who's running. Otherwise, the Mate 10's camera, it's excellent. I mean, the Mate 9 was one of the best smartphone shooters in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure the Mate 10, from the brief time I've tested it, it's going to continue that streak. So you see this new this year, you get this little 2-point zoom button, which is from iPhone and Galaxy Note 8. The bokeh mode is back, and it's excellent because, you know, Huawei started doing this before everybody else, so obviously it's great. And plus it's a Leica algorithm, so colors, photos are going to be a bit punchier. You get manual control, obviously, and all the different shooting modes like light painting and monochrome, night shot, all of that. Okay, so I'm going to show you some photos and video samples taken by the Mate 10 Pro. As mentioned earlier, Huawei is being quite restrictive in terms of my hands-on with this device. Huawei told me that I should try to avoid using it out on the street. I should only use it indoors. So that's why all these photos and video samples you see are taken from either inside my apartment or inside a building where I was jamming with my friends. So look at the photo samples. Even though it's very limited situation, they look excellent. Huawei's cameras are really damn good. So other things that the AI can do includes helping you translate text faster. If you go to Microsoft Translator, I tried it earlier, it can translate text a lot faster than on other devices. That's because Huawei says, again, it's an NPU, so a quick test. Okay, so that took like 5 seconds, and it showed up a translation. It's pretty good. It even got Martin Scorsese's name right. So, you know, because the Pro has an OLED display, everything, you know, like videos are gonna look amazing. You have a full screen bezel-less design, so everything looks immersive, colors are punchy and vibrant. Consuming media is also a good experience because you have a stereo speaker on this phone. You have sound coming from the bottom, and also the earpiece. So this is a full stereo experience. I mean, look at the screen. It's a beautiful display, true blacks because OLED. Of course, no video is complete without a K-pop test, so here is 2 in 1. So this is what, about 60% volume. The speaker is excellent. See, you can't just muffle the speaker by pressing the bottom. Sound's still coming out here, and it's very clear. So even on max volume, there is no distortion. Everything comes out very good. Yeah, this is definitely one of the best speakers out on the phone so far. And the screen, it's beautiful. That's not the only thing that the Mate 10 can do. The Mate 10 can actually do something really damn cool. It can turn into a desktop computer if you just plug it into any USB-C to HDMI port. So check this out. See, you see that Emui Desktop? Bam! You get the full desktop experience. All you have to do is plug in the Mate 10 to a USB-C port and then plug the other end to an HDMI. You don't need a dock like Samsung. Huawei is keen to point out, yeah, that using a dock, it's pretty stupid. With the Mate 10, you can just plug in and go. And the best part is, apparently, I'm trying this for the first time right now, you can still use the phone fully while desktop is running. So you see I have desktop running right there, and then I'm still watching Instagram on this phone. So then you might be wondering, then how do you get around the desktop if the phone is still fully functional? Well, you can plug in an additional keyboard and mouse to move around, or you can just bring down this option here, virtual keyboard and mouse. Okay, and then from here, you see that I can use the phone as a mouse pad. So I just have to double tap on the screen to open up Chrome. And as you can see, the apps that open up are actually Windows, like desktop level. It's not a mobile app. So from here, let's check out a website. theringer.com. See, and it loads a full, I believe, desktop page. Yep, this is the desktop experience. So I am told that you are able to run Microsoft Windows app on this too. And right now I'm open on my camera app, camera gallery on the desktop. So that's it with the hands-on. I will be getting a review unit of the Mate 10 Pro later. So I'm excited to put the phone to further tests because, you know, the MPU has a lot of potential. I forgot to mention earlier, but you probably already noticed, but the phone doesn't have a headphone jack. So I guess, unfortunately, Huawei has also decided to go that route. So that's it for now. This is the Mate 10 Pro. Thanks for watching.